BBC News with Gareth Barlow. The United Nations Children's Agency says up to 67 million children have missed some or all of their routine vaccinations due to COVID lockdowns and disruption caused by the pandemic. UNICEF warned that parents' awareness of the importance of vaccines for children was declining, while disinformation and political polarization had contributed to vaccine hesitancy. Residents have been fleeing fighting in the Sudanese capital, Khartoum, fearing about dwindling food supplies and the collapse of medical services. A new ceasefire attempt failed for a second day. Houthi officials in Yemen say up to 80 people have been killed in a stampede in the capital Sanaa during a charity distribution for Ramadan. More than 100 people were injured. A 25-year-old man in Texas has been arrested for shooting two cheerleaders in a supermarket car park after one mistook his car for her own vehicle. There's confusion about a bright flash that set off air raid alarms in the Ukrainian capital Kiev on Wednesday evening. The local commander said the large glowing object was a NASA satellite falling to Earth. A Russian-born woman from New York has been sentenced to 21 years in jail for trying to poison her look-alike to steal her identity. The court heard that in 2016, Victoria Nazarova visited her friend who she strongly resembled and brought her a cheesecake laced with fenazepam. Joe Biden will discuss the possibility of lifting economic sanctions on Venezuela when he meets Colombia's President Gustavo Petro on Thursday. A senior U.S. official said Washington was willing to ease sanctions if steps were taken towards democratic elections in Venezuela. And a rare type of solar eclipse is taking place, with large crowds gathered in parts of Australia and elsewhere to see the spectacle. The hybrid eclipse takes place when some parts of the world experience a total eclipse, while other parts witness an angular eclipse. That's the ring of fire around the Blacktown area. BBC News.
There's a new science that could change the way we eat.
This is perhaps the most transformative influence factor that I've seen in 3+ decades in medicine and also as a researcher.
Artificial intelligence could be about to change the way we think about nutrition.
In 10 years' time, we'll look back and say, how did we provide this dietary recommendations without having this deep-level data on the individual? And that is where the opportunity of AI really sits.
Hello and welcome to the Food Chain from the BBC World Service. I'm Adam Shaw, and this week we're looking at the rise of AI in the world of nutrition. A new science for a new era of personalized diets.
This idea that the same foods should be recommended for all people is naive. It's wrong.
For it to work, we'll need to share a lot about ourselves.
We would hope to be able to take people's data, their vitamins and minerals and their organic acids or other measurements, put it into a machine learning model, and then say what would be the best personalized diet for them.
And in some cases, interact with the machines. It's interesting, you've been talking about hope, definitely as a woman. Is it very important that the user sees it as a person?
It's so important for people to feel engaged. There is an overguiding theme where technology is something that you can't necessarily provide that personal connection with.
I've come to Viva Health Labs in Windsor to meet Dr. James Neal, whose company Uzen specialises in personalised nutrition and is actually at the moment developing a nutritional AI model. The lab is based at the end of what is this rather grand driveway, which I'm coming up now. It's in an old manor house at the bottom here, spoilt only by the fact I'm getting rained on a bit. But let's go inside. From the outside, it might look like a traditional English manor house, but inside, it is in fact a high-tech lab that's helping develop what could be a major revolution in artificial intelligence diets. Scientists here are gathering the raw data needed by Dr. Neal and his Centre for Nutrition Education and Lifestyle Management in the UK to create a new machine-led approach to better dietary health. Their ambitions are grand, although the science is at an early stage.
Personalized nutrition requires a comprehensive understanding of your nutritional biochemistry. And here at Viva Health Labs, they provide those services. You can send in your blood, your urine, and other things like saliva and actually breath samples as well.
You can send in your breath?
You can send in your breath.
Okay, that's really
and that can be used to identify, for example, whether you've got a small intestine bacterial overgrowth, which is sort of a gut microbiome issue that people can have. And so these guys are really creating the data that in personalised nutrition we use to make clinical decisions, but also that can be used to help build machine learning algorithms or artificial intelligence algorithms.
So explain how that works. I could send in some samples to this lab or a lab like this, and from that you could design a specific diet for me, or is that just leading to fundamental research into how bodies and dietary plans interact?
The answer is both. So in the first instance, by understanding your nutritional status and that information going to a nutrition professional, they can understand, for example, where you might be deficient in certain nutrients, and we can understand that at a personalized level at the moment and make some clinical or nutritional recommendations about the individual. But it's difficult to make a precise prediction, like if you eat this diet that is tailored to you, then this blood marker, say for example your cholesterol, this value will likely drop to within this range 3 months, 6 months, whatever, of you following this nutritional program. What we would like to be able to do is to gather lots of people's data together to continually observe how these things change, and then it can make an empirical prediction about what is likely to happen. And this is something that requires quite sophisticated machine learning approaches. There are different types of AI which matter a lot. One essentially extracts observations from data. This is the non-explanatory AI. These are, for example, the techniques that ChatGPT uses. They spot patterns in data very well, and that can be very useful. But an explanatory model that explains these patterns in the data can give us much more leverage. I can say, given what I know, what would be the best diet for this individual? I can also say, if I gave that individual a personalised nutrition program and it didn't go quite as well as I'd expected, what could I have done better?
Okay, if we have this conversation in 10 years' time and that sort of approach is successful, what do you hope to be able to do as a result of it that we can't do now?
We would hope to be able to take people's data that we could gather at a laboratory like this. Here's what Sally or John's or whoever's metabolic status is, what their vitamins and minerals and their organic acids or other measurements are, put it into a machine learning model, and then say, for the outcomes that we want, what would be the best personalized diet for them? Maybe adding another nutritional supplement or another dietary modification improves things a little, but they become more difficult to comply to, they become more expensive. A person can't have a perfectly optimal lifestyle, perfectly optimal diet. They live in the real world.
Dr. Neal's team hopes to build these machine learning models in 3 to 5 years' time. But even when or if the technology has been developed, there remains the question of whether AI-driven diets will be for everyone.
If you are a young, healthy individual who wants to change their diet and lifestyle such that they're not going to experience health problems later on, they're not necessarily going to see the benefit of truly personalized nutrition, although it would help them make better decisions. But it is when people start to have more health problems that are more specific to their circumstances, their genetics or whatever, it is there where we will see nutrition being able to help them have better health outcomes, better support other medical interventions and their outcomes. That is where we will see a revolution, and we will also see a revolution in being able to predict things.
That data analysis opens up the possibility of a range of new applications, which involves not just the food we eat, but it can also help nudge us into changing our behaviour. Penny McCoy is a dietitian in Sydney, Australia, who's been working with people who are trying to lose weight and improve their overall health.
Almost 2/3 of Australians are overweight or obese, and we know that obesity has an impact on overall health. It does increase risks of chronic disease, conditions like type 2 diabetes and heart disease, and certain cancers as well. So we really do need